Everything you need to know about the world of combat sports right here on the bottom line with me, Combat Catchups. Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of Combat Catchups. Wow, there is so much going on that I'm going to jump right into it. First up, some news and updates from the world of exhibition boxing. Or well, should I say the world of circus boxing, because that's what it seems to have turned into these days. The Paul brothers are back at it again. Well, they've both announced, or well, there's at least rumors that they've both announced their next opponents. Let's start up with Jake. Now, Jake Paul was last seen against Tyron Woodley in a 8-round exhibition match, and he has signed on to fight Tommy Fury. Now, Tommy Fury is the younger brother of heavyweight champion Tyson Fury and is the first legitimate professional boxer that Jake will take on. Is this finally the time that Jake is shown his place and proven to be nothing more than a YouTuber that got lucky? Or does he actually make his case as a serious contender in the sport of boxing? We will find out. But his elder brother, Logan Paul, has somehow managed to raise the bar even more. After his last outing, a decision loss against Floyd Money Mayweather, Logan is rumored to take on one of the greatest heavyweights of all time in Iron Mike Tyson. Yes, that Mike Tyson, the baddest man on the planet, is rumored to be Logan Paul's next opponent. Now, if everything goes the way I think it should, and Mike Tyson isn't actually cooperating because he thinks it's a show, he should be able to take Logan's head clean off his shoulders. Let's hope Mike's coming to fight and not put on a show. We will stay on top of the story and keep bringing you the updates as they unfold. Now let's move on to some serious stuff. We are in the middle of a very rare 2-week extravaganza with back-to-back PPVs, and we just got through the first one. UFC 267 this past weekend was a phenomenal event, and all the fights that we were excited about delivered beyond measure. Now, we spoke about 4 fights that I brought to you in pre-fight breakdowns over the last week. The first one was the return of Hamza Chimayev. Now, things may have changed. Hamza had a 1-year layoff. He had a ranked opponent for the first time. And, well, unfortunately for his opponent, though, Hamza looked like he hadn't missed a single beat. After all that drama with his weigh-ins, he managed to make weight, he showed up in the octagon and did exactly what he had done to the last 3 opponents in the UFC. He picked up the leech, walked him over to a corner, ended up grounding and pounding him, and finally secured a win via submission. Now, this man has gone 4 for 4 in the UFC and taken just 1 strike in the process. All of his fights ending in similar fashion where he basically completely outclassed his opponent. Is there anybody that can hold a candle to this man in the welterweight division? Well, we will know soon enough, because when he debuts on the rankings this week, I expect him to come in at 7 or 8, and this time he will be taking on a very serious contender. Let's find out who that is, and when we do, I will bring that news straight to you. Well, the next fight on that card that we spoke about was Islam Makhachev versus Dan Hooker in the lightweight division. The result came as expected. Islam stood with Dan for a few short seconds before taking him to the ground and completely dominating the man, finally securing the win via submission after he secured a Kimura in the very first round. Now, Islam walked away without having broken a sweat, and considering where he stands in the rankings and the kind of performances he's put in, there's a lot happening in that lightweight division. This week, of course, Geichi and Chandler will go up against each other. Shortly thereafter, you have Poirier and Charles Oliveira. But whatever the result of these 2 fights, Islam is undoubtedly a part of the title picture now and is likely going to challenge for the lightweight championship of the UFC very soon. We might well have another very dominant champion from the Dagestani stables that gave us Habib Nurmagomedov. Well, that is just speculation, though. We'll see how all that unfolds. Now, on to the co-main event. We saw the clash between Peter Yan and Corey Sandhagen. Now, initially, Corey Sandhagen actually put up a very strong performance in round 1, using his jab, his range, and his height advantage to great benefit, keeping Yan on the outside, dictating the pace and the distance of the fight. But the champion that Yan is, he was able to download all that data, adapt, and boy did he overcome. As the fight progressed, Yan seemed to only pick up momentum, understand Corey's range, Corey's timing, and well, ended up with a very dominant victory over the 25-minute distance. The fight earning both contenders a Fight of the Night performance. Now, for the main event of the evening, that was the fight that actually surprised me the most. When I first spoke of this fight and I heard of it, I thought that Jan Blachowicz was going to be just too much for a aging Glover Teixeira to be able to stand up to. But as I started analyzing Glover's last 5 performances, seeing his winning streak and his improvements and development over the recent past, I began to think that he might actually be a stylistically problematic matchup for Jan Blachowicz. Well, that proved to be true because Glover was on complete song and a muted champion, who didn't look like he really showed up on the evening, lost his title. He was completely dominated when a 42-year-old Glover Teixeira dominated him on the feet, dominated him on the ground, and took home a victory that was unquestionably deserving of a UFC championship title bout. Glover Teixeira is now the second oldest man to win and hold a UFC title behind only the legend Randy Couture. Now that's a lot of excitement that's gone past us. We're still in the midst of it, and I think that the best is yet to come. UFC 268 coming up this weekend promises to have at least 3 fights on the card that could be candidates for Fight of the Year. I mean, there's some fantastic athletes making their appearance on the card. We have Alex Pereira, the 2-division Glory champion, who will make his UFC debut. We have the likes of Marlon Vera, Frankie Edgar, Shane Burgos, to name a few. But the fights that I am most interested and most excited about are the top 3 fights. First up, 155 pounds, Justin Geichi versus Michael Chandler. There could not be 2 more violently inclined men, lightweights or otherwise. That fight is sure to be a complete barn burner and will be more than entertaining if it goes down the way I think it is. And if you think it couldn't get more exciting than that, the co-main event is Zhang Weili versus Rose Namajunas 2 for the second time in a row, after of course Zhang Weili was dethroned in her last outing against Thug Rose. That's another fight that I'm very excited about, but none of those two compare to the main event. Madison Square Garden on November the 6th. Kamaru, the Nigerian Nightmare, will take on Kobe Covington. Now, this man has been probably the most dominant force in MMA for some time. But he is taking on the man that has given him the most challenging fight of his career so far. Now, that's not a recipe for absolute pandemonium. I don't know what is. Do not miss it, and we will be bringing you all the pre-fight breakdowns and everything you need to know to make sure you have one hell of a time come fight night. So stay tuned for that and so much more on The Bottom Line. Keep watching, like, subscribe, share and follow. I will see you in the next episode.